€4,000 for one workshop. That seems to be a lot of money, but let's start at the beginning. Here is the website Mix the Masters. And you got access to a lot of videos when you spend, I guess, $300 or $350 per year. And then you've got access to a lot of producers, mixing engineers, and so on. And then you get the newsletter. And I got the newsletter for the Alan Meyerson workshop. And now let's have a look what kind of feature movies Alan mixed. So we see Ice Age, Minions, House of Gucci, Dune, King Richard, Space Jam 2, Mulan, Jumanji, Star Wars, Angry Birds, Lion King, X-Men, Aladdin, Spider-Man, and so on, so on. So I guess you've seen a lot of movies that Alan mixed. So I got a newsletter that there will be a mixing workshop with Alan for 7 days. Okay, so 7 days for €4,000 seemed to me very okay. And included are the sleeping rooms and the food. And I can tell you it was great food. Lunch and diner, always awesome. Everybody liked it. And for all the vegetarian people, there is another food. So that was great. And we've been 17 people. Everybody had his own room. So this was great too. Okay, so I was flying from Germany, from Hamburg, flying to Amsterdam, and from there to Marseille. From Marseille, I had to take a train to Avignon. And at Avignon, I met Dominic Scherer. He is the composer of the Netflix series The Serpent, a very nice guy. And I didn't know that he is there. And then he sent me a message and said, well, when you are coming this evening, then we can have a drink. So we did it. And after this, I went to my Hotel Mercure. And the next day, we get some two taxis, and took a 20-minute drive. After this, we arrived at the La Fabrique. So when we arrived there, we just seen our rooms, had a little bit hangout, and then we've got our first food. The timing is we've got breakfast from 9 to 10, then the first slot 10 to 1 a.m., then we've got lunch, and then it goes forward from 2 to 7 p.m., then it's beer o'clock, and we've got the lunch at 8 p.m., nearly an hour. Okay, so then we started our workshop, and I can't tell you all the secrets that Alan told us and all the stories, but I guess I can tell you some things. So how is he starting to mix when Alan is mixing signals or processing mixing signals? There are 3 steps he uses. The first one, he cuts frequencies or bad resonances. Interesting that he says he doesn't like to work with equalizers who show you the frequencies or have an analyzer, because you see the frequencies. He says, I want to hear the frequencies. And for this, he has a special equalizer that just has knobs, but you can't see anything. The second mixing step is using compression, but not every time, just using compression when you got to use compression. And the third and last step is boosting frequencies or shaping the sounds. And he's shown us a lot of plugins or tools how to shape the sounds. It was awesome. So what's very nice to see that professionals like Alan use tools that have artificial intelligence too. For example, Sooth 2. Yes, he's using this tool too, and it was very interesting to see how he is using this tool. I use it, I guess, since 2 years, and I love Sooth 2. But it was very interesting to see how he is using it, so I learned a few things more. And yeah, he is using other tools with artificial intelligence because when it works for him and the result is good and he saves some time, it's perfect. So it's not that the professionals say, well, I don't want to use artificial intelligence, I just want to trust my ears. So he tries every new plugin, and when he likes it, he uses it, but he tries it first. So he told us how he is mixing the orchestra, and there are a few differences between real orchestra and mock-ups. It was very interesting to see how he is using the reverbs and the reverb feeds. It was a very clever setup to be very fast with the reverbs. And the question was, is he using microphone alignment when he mixes the orchestra? Because when you are at the Decca tree and then you have other instruments that are far away and you are using the close mics, is he using time alignment or not? And yes, he is doing time alignment, but not for every instrument or every close microphone. And denoising, he has shown us 2 tricks how to denoise without using any denoising plugins. Sorry that I can't share you more, but it was very interesting and very easy. What was very interesting, the bass plugin or the plugin at every stem. He had one plugin he loves now. It was very new, and we asked him, well, should we buy it because we had Black Friday week, so it's very dangerous to have a workshop with a person like Alan, because then you want to buy all this stuff. Or perhaps it was a great time because we could buy this great stuff for a cheaper price. And Alan sent some emails to some of the developers and asked them to give us a special discount. And we got a special discount from a few developers. It was great, and the discount was bigger than Black Friday. So thank you, Alan, very much for this. Yeah, so the bass plugin. He had one plugin at every bass, and we asked him, should we buy it? Is it worth it? And he told us, well, I don't know. I love it now, but it can be that the next year I'm using another plugin, and in 2 years I fell in love with another plugin. So I guess nearly nobody of us bought this plugin, or I guess a few people, but I didn't. And here is the funny thing. Another guy brought his session, and it was a Pro Tools session. He had ozone at every bass, so at every stem. And then Alan had a look at the session and said, why are you using ozone at every bass, every stem? And the guy said, well, I did this because you did this 6 years ago when I visited the last masterclass with you. So we had a lot of to laugh, because then Alan said, yeah, this can be true. That was me. So you see, I can change my mind every year or every month. So it was very interesting. Always experiment. do your own stuff, try new things. Very interesting. The next were some Mojo plugins. So plugins or tools that shape the sounds. That were some saturation plugins or channel strips. And it was very interesting to see how Alan tried several plugins when he had hands-on on our productions. And yes, I bought some of the plugins, some saturation plugins and some channel strips and other stuff. And it was very inspiring. It was very inspiring because sometimes he just shaped the sound a little bit and did a lot of little things or just a few little things to some of the signals. And the difference seemed not to be very big, but when you heard the whole music with all the differences and every single track, it was a huge difference. So how is he using new projects? At first, he starts with the hardest cue. Not the first cue, but the hardest cue. It can be with the first one. It can be one cue that is very long, where you have a lot of mixed genres in it, a lot of tracks. What else? So he starts with the hardest cue, and he's got 4 reverbs, Bricasti, lexicon reverb, and then 2 different reverbs, more effect reverbs, like reverbs with very long reverb, let's say black hole or shimmer, or plugins that have some plugins after the reverb, let's say distortion after the reverb or other things. And he has a clever reverb setting for the feed, as I told you. Very interesting. After this, he told us how he cleans up the signals. So there have been 4 tools, but I guess one of the next videos I'll show you are 5 tools. So I've got 5 tools and he has shown us 4. So it was great to know that I'm using the right tools and right methods. And it was very nice to see how Alan is working with the tools. Then we had a lot of questions about surround mixing 5.1, 7.1, 7.1.4, so Dolby Atmos. And we had a lot of questions about the reverb. Is he using surround reverb or stereo reverb or mono reverb? Is the reverb at the center? How about upmixing? How is he using the LFE and the center? It was very interesting because he told us everything. And one of the participants had a mix with it in a project session, and he wanted to create a 5.1 mix, and we had a 5.1 setup. So yes, it was possible and great to see how Alan created the 5.1 mixing. So then we have been talking about reverbs, and what was very interesting that 1 or 2 reverbs he didn't use for reverb, more for sound shaping. That was very interesting to see how the reverb shaped the sound. And he told us that he wants to worth the money. So the customer has to hear a difference between the temp mix and the mix of Alan. And he told us one thing that is most important to hear the difference. And I can share it to you. Then he's shown us the movement trick and a few tools and techniques to create a more wide space. That was very, very interesting. Then he showed us some of his projects and how he fattens up the drums, how to get a bigger sound. What was very nice is the track presets using. So I guess most people say, okay, track presets are not very new for me. I know track presets, but I like the way the track presets are used in Pro Tools. So I'm in Cubase and Nuendo. So when I go into here, let's say this is percussion, and here you can see I've got a group track, percussion and reverb, and here is percussion. Now I've got the send effect, it goes to reverb, and here this track is routed to percussion. So right click, let's say save the preset, and let's save it as, oh no, I want to do this. So, and let's save it. Percussion. And now I create another track and I want to load. So when I press here, you see it takes a lot of time before I can see percussion. So I can see it here. Now, okay, you can see it has got the right color, and I would have the same insert effects. I did an insert one, but what's not working? The routing is not right. Percussion should be routed to percussion and not to the stereo out, and the send is not included. I guess Nuendo and Cubase or Steinberg will have a reason that it doesn't work, but in Pro Tools it's working. And what I really love is that you got the track presets here. So it's like the direct routing. For example, let's say this would be the track presets. You go to here and see the presets as fast as this one, like a pull-up menu, see it, select it, bam, so fast. And when I'm talking about fast, we had Eva at the workshop. She's been an assistant for Alan for, I guess, 2 years, but now she is not longer his assistant. She is sound engineer on her own. Very nice and very, very fast. Sometimes she had to load in the sessions of all the people, of the students, or there have some plugins not activated or downloaded. So she had to download the plugins and activate them. And she was so fast. It was like watching a video and played twice the tempo or faster. It was unbelievable. So that's about the track presets. And then we compared upmixing plugins like Penteo and Nugent. What are the differences? What are some problems? And what are the solutions from Alan? Yeah, after this, we listened to a lot of projects that Alan worked on. It was awesome because he has taken a lot of projects, or not just the whole projects, but the cues with him. And he was so well prepared. It was awesome. And we had listened to a lot of things. What I really loved was Dunkirk. I guess you know the shepherd tone. It's a tone that's always rising up, and when a sound is rising up, at one point it will be so high so you can't hear it. But the shepherd tone is going up, going higher, 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 and you can always hear it. The trick is when you are, for example, at C5, you can hear C4 at the lower volume and C3 at the lower volume, and so on. So it's something like a very intelligent crossfade. So it seems to rise up all the time. So that was not new for me, but what was new, that Hans Zimmer did the same thing with the tempo. So the tempo seemed always to get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and so on. We had a look at the track The Mole, and it is always ticking with the strings. Dum 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 dum, and always getting faster. And when you're getting faster and faster, at one point the strings can't play this, and damn. That was my heater. And when the strings are getting faster and faster, let's say you are doing this with sample strings, at a point it doesn't sound like a pulse. It sounds artificial or like one note. But the whole time it sounded like a faster getting pulse. So we've seen the tempo track, and it rises, I guess, from 90 to 180, and from 180 it get down to 90 again. So we've seen this, but it felt the whole time it's getting faster and faster and faster. So there have been a clever arranging, editing, and so on, that you have got this feeling. That was very inspiring. Yeah, after this we had one special guest. Randy Kerber came. He is an orchestrator and pianist. He played at more than 1,000 feature movies. It was very nice because Alan and Randy know since, I guess, 30 years, so for a long time. And Randy Kerber is living in Paris since 2 or 3 years, so he had a very short way. And he played at Home Alone, Jurassic Park, JFK, and the celesta at Harry Potter. And he told us how he programmed the sound, because the celesta is not a real celesta, it's a synthesized celesta from 2 layers. So he created 2 different layers and told us how he created the sound. And he created another sound for Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, and told us how he composed the intro sound and the last notes at the end. And he played accordion at the song Tears in Heaven, but not a real accordion. It was played at the DX7. So it was very new for me, and that you can get this beautiful sound out of this synthesizer. Yeah, and then we listened to the projects of all the 17 students. Everybody had some of his last work. Some people just had the master files, the stereo bounds, but most of the people had some stems or the single tracks. It was great because it was all great stuff. No things where you say, well, okay, we don't have to start with the mixing, we have to think about the arrangement or orchestration or something. It was all great stuff in different styles. So one guy was producing, I guess it was hard techno combined with orchestra. Very, very interesting. And we are always saying around this, yes. And we had a great pop song. Then we had, I guess, Finnish guy who is mixing opera for live streams. Very interesting. And we had a lot of other stuff. We had Dominic Scherer, who composed for The Serpent. And we had Jonathan Feurich from Germany, who had some recordings with real orchestra. That was great stuff. We had some guys from Russia, from let's say Peking, yes, from France too. from Amsterdam, and so on. So 17 people from around the world. Always nice people. It was very inspiring. And after the workshop, we created a WhatsApp group. And so we could share whether we know another great deal or we know new deal that has been created by Alan. And a few of us have written down all their comments, so we could see what all the other people say. But we had to give our handy to the people from the event. So we had to lay our smartphones to a table, and at the studio nobody was allowed to take the smartphone. And we've been given this little book, and there was enough place to write down all the information. So this was organized very, very well. Yeah, and I took one of my projects. I've been taking 2 cues from the now world biggest holography show. So there are 2 screens behind. In the one screen you've got the background, and the other all the action, the tiger and whales and penguins and so on. It is 10 meter high, and I guess I will share some of the cues in the future. So I've taken 2 cues, and yeah, so we've done some of the processings, some at some things we did some more widening of the sounds, or using a few reverbs, or adding 1 delay, creating more punch with creating more attack, creating more movements and so on. So it was very, very interesting for me. So everybody had a slot round about, I guess, 1 hour and 50 minutes. You could do what you want. When you do it, I will say just do 1 or 2 cues, because there are a lot of things you can learn, and it can be very hard for Alan and other people to switch from one cue to the next cue to the next genre, now mixing hard techno, mixing film music, mixing another soft stuff, now mixing real orchestra and so on. So I've taken with me 4 cues, but then decided just working on 2 of them and go more deeper into the details, and I've learned a lot. So all the time, Alan was very open, a very nice guy. He answered every question, and we answered a lot of questions. And when we had the feeling the answer was not in detail, so we asked again, or asked more about the details, and then we got the answer. It was very, very nice. We had great food. We had nice people. So the question is, was it worth for 4,000 euro? Totally yes. I won't do this every year, but we had people there who were there the second time. And I guess one person was there 2 times and now visited the workshop or masterclass for the 3rd time. So you can see that you always learn something new, get new inspiration. And yes, I loved it very much. I had a great time, learned so much. It was inspiring, great people. And yes, I will do it again in a few years. So I hope I could give you a little bit. I couldn't share all the secrets that Alan told us, but I hope that you had a little bit fun hearing what we did there. and see you the next time. Bye.